Okay, I hope the microphone works because I've dropped the sponge bit on the floor. Okay, so there was so much in there, wasn't there, to take away. I hope you did manage to jot some of it down. So real worship is not an event, it's a lifestyle. Worship is knowing and loving God. Many of us have started reading The Purpose-Driven Life this week, and we've learned about how much we matter to God. And worship is about loving him back, he said. Worship is expressing my affection to God. Worship is focusing my attention on God. And worship is using my abilities for God. Do you want to live your life as an act of worship to God, your maker and creator? Thanks, Rick. There was some great stuff in there. If only we could just fly him over here. So last Sunday, Pete shared and talked about our vision as a church and the kind of culture that we want to create and we'd love to see grow in our church family here in Gateway. So let's just take a few minutes now at the end of what Rick said to think about the kind of what that kind of culture looks like in Gateway in relation to worship. So singing. Often when we talk about worship, we instantly think of singing, don't we? I think this is perhaps because of the language that we use in church, like, now let's have a time of worship, kind of implies that the singing is the worship and the rest isn't. But as Rick pointed out, worship should be our whole lives. But that said, let's not lose sight of the fact that singing is actually an important part of our worship. Singing is a way that we can express our affection to God, our praise, our thanks, our gratitude for all he's done for us. When we look around, both inside and outside of the church, people love to sing to express their emotions, don't they? It's built into us. I was thinking people love to sing at sports games to express their camaraderie together. I'm not sure they're always keen on the words they're singing. When I think of the Welsh fans singing, Guide Me, O Thou Great Jehovah, but they love to sing. When we're happy, we often wander around the house, or some people do humming and singing their favourite tunes. In pubs and clubs, people love to express their joy by singing together. Scores of songwriters express their love in songs through the songs that they write. When we were going out, Kelvin always thought it was funny to serenade me with one of his favourite Cliff Richard songs, When the Girl in Your Arms is the Girl in Your Heart. And if you know me, you know how much I loved the sloppy behaviour. But I'm getting him back now by letting everybody know. Okay, but seriously, people do use songs, don't they, to express all kinds of emotions. And it's an important way for us to join together and express our emotions and our affections to God. Masks or no masks, restrictions or not. As I mentioned last week, in a concentration camp in North Korea, they found a way to sing to God. So I'm sure we can too. So singing is great. Singing is also a way in which we can focus our attention on God. There are some great songs out there that can help us to sing through some of the great truths of Scripture. I especially love at the moment King of Kings by Hillsongs. We've often sung it at Gateway. I love it because it reminds us of the whole big picture of what God's done for us. And it says, by his blood and in his name, in his freedom, I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ who has resurrected me. I have this life because of his love for me. And it lifts me to sing about that love. You know, singing also helps us focus our thoughts away from what is going on in our lives and focus our undivided attention on God, our maker and our creator. It's been amazing, isn't it, to stay connected through technology, through the pandemic. But one of the downsides of being at home has been the ease of being distracted by things going on, the temptation to just do other things. Coming together in a building like this makes it easier for us to give God our sole attention, I think. But for those of you watching online, I'm not suggesting you can't worship God. Far from it. Absolutely you can. We can worship God wherever we are. It can just sometimes be a bit harder. So let me encourage you, if you are watching online, when we start singing in a bit, not to get up, don't grab a cup of tea, don't check your phone or do the dishes, but when we sing, pause and give your attention to God. Give him those moments of your life. Another reason we should sing is because God loves it. He loves to hear us entering into his presence with thanksgiving and praise. Psalm 100 says this, shout for joy to the Lord, all the earth. Worship the Lord with gladness. Come before him with joyful songs. Know that the Lord is good. It is he who made us, and we are his. We are his people, the sheep of his pastures. Enter his gates with thanksgiving and his courts with praise. Give thanks to him and praise his name. For the Lord is good, and his love endures forever. His faithfulness continues through all generations. So we want singing to be part of our culture as a church on a Sunday, in our midweek groups, and whenever we gather together. What else do we want to be part of our culture of worship then at Gateway? Well, daily devotions. Rick mentioned it a bit. But as well as communal worship, we want to strengthen and encourage people to make time, to make time daily to worship God, to take time daily to get to know God better, to take time daily to express personally our love back to God. I hope you've all got a copy by now of The Purpose-Driven Life. I'm going to keep mentioning it. If not, as I said, chase your house group leaders. And let's use the next 40 days to set aside 10 minutes, just 10 minutes each day, to focus our thoughts on God. I love that phrase that Rick said, at the start of every day, we should say to God that we want to know you a little bit better and love you a little bit more. I want that to be my daily purpose. Do you want it to be yours as well? I don't know about you, but as we were pondering this topic of worship this week, I was thinking how different my days are when I get up in the morning and I set aside just 10 minutes for God, in comparison to the days perhaps when I get up and I run straight into my day, not giving God even a small amount of my time. And then let's also build into our culture a culture of encouraging each other to daily focus on God. You know, I loved when Kath posted yesterday about the day 3 readings. I was actually having a lazy morning, thinking I'll laze around in bed, and then I was probably just going to get up and just run around because I'd not left long enough to do all the things I wanted to do. But actually, Kath's post encouraged me to pause and give God my thoughts before I did that. And not just Kath, but I love that Gareth and many others often share songs on the WhatsApp. That thought to pause in the middle of the day and worship God in the middle of what we're doing is great. So let's continue to make it our culture to share on the church WhatsApp, on our group WhatsApps, on Facebook and our Instagram, and privately with each other encouragements to worship throughout our days, sharing songs and worship to help each of us to focus our attention on God and give back our love to him throughout the week. You know, this is something actually I think we were really strong at through lockdown, and let's keep doing it. Let's not stop doing that now. And then lastly, Rick mentioned that worship to God is using our abilities for him. We want to build a culture in Gateway that asks, what abilities has God given to you, and how can you use them to give back to God? Again, during lockdown, people took meals to others. They baked cakes and treats that they shared with others. What a fabulous example of using our talents to worship God by blessing his people. I know some people were pleased that I didn't try to bless them with my baking, though. And I know someone else in the church who regularly took a camping chair, a mug of tea, and sat on people's doorsteps and just blessed them with their time. Let's not stop being family and keep being there for each other in practical ways. These are wonderful ways of expressing our worship to God. I look at the tech team at the back, and it's because they've given their time and their talents to serve that we can be here and enjoy our time today, and that we can include people online as well. Thank you guys for being prepared to worship God in this way. You know, there's loads of other people here and loads of other examples I could give. We are the church we are today because so many people have given their talents in worship to God. So thank you to everybody who has. You know, when Pete brought the vision last week, we mentioned it's not a new vision, but a putting together in words of what we've always been about so we can intentionally get better. And some people here might be thinking, I just can't do any more. I've so much on. I'm already doing so much. Let me assure you, this absolutely isn't about adding to what you already do, but asking God what it is he wants you to give today and in the coming weeks. You know, Rick Warren, in day 3 of the readings, talked of how knowing our purpose helps focus our life, and it helps us to be selective. And in Philippians 3, we're encouraged to remain focused on our goals. So this is really about considering how we worship God with our lives. And it might just involve dropping some of the things we do to make time for activities that God is urging us to do to help us to know him a little bit better and to love him a little bit more. So as we enter into a time of singing together, and as you go out from here, let's continue to ponder and seek how we can become better worshippers of God by thinking on how we can express our affection to God, how we can focus our attention on God, and how we can use our abilities for God. Thanks, Kate.